Hey everybody, coming up on today's show, we've got some kind of mess going on in Texas. That's
Man, no doubt about it. Texas
we'll do this. We're delivering pizzas and people are dying all in the same process.
Not a good thing. Not a good thing, and we'll get into some details on that. Hey, we're also going to be talking a little bit about some exciting news from Toyota. You've heard us on previous podcasts where we're asking, like, well, where the heck are they at? Well, we've got some real exciting news to share with you about those guys. What else we got, Keith?
Well, we have if you're planning on buying a Rivian, we have a new option for insurance on those, and it's going to come from Rivian.
Yeah. And then we're going to get into a market that seemed to kind of die off, I would say, in the mid-'90s, kind of went away for a long time. It seems to be, it could be making a comeback. We're going to get into talking about a little bit about the compact truck market. Hyundai has certainly caught the eyes of a few, and we'll get into a little bit of that. So all that coming up on today's show right after this. The Counter Show. I am Jay, and that's my co-host Keith over there. How's it going, man?
Hey, Jay, how you doing today?
All right. Yeah, today.
I've been watching commercials.
You know, you got a little bit on the high side. What's that guy's name? What's that
Act
actor?
Now, and we'll give you not one, but two.
Rumble. Right on, man. So good to see you, man. Good to see you. We're all in one piece here. You're in one piece. You're looking dapper over there, man, as usual.
I skipped the hat today.
Yeah, I've been skipping it. I noticed I got a haircut.
It's peer pressure. I saw, the last couple. I saw. Well, you had like a skull cap on the last one, I think.
I did, but it was kind of interesting. I grew my hair, for those of you listening and not watching any of our videos. I didn't when COVID hit. We couldn't get our hair cut, and of course, my wife won't touch it. She's afraid to even attempt to cut my hair. I've told her the story about my sister. I let my sister cut my hair once. Hey, sis, if you're listening, remember that. I do like my bangs. Just saying. But anyway, so my wife won't touch it, and I just said to heck with it. I'm going to just let it roll, and I grew my hair out for 14 months with kind of like maybe a little bit of a trim at the bottom, the back. It got pretty long. But it was just getting out of hand. I just, summertime's coming, warm weather's coming. I just decided to, it's time to clean up the act a little bit. So here you go. Here's the real me.
Getting ready for the 100th episode. By the way, this segment brought to you by Great Clips. Great Clips for hair. GreatClips.com.
Yeah. Actually, it's by Doing Donuts. Which, by the way, if you like this shirt, we'll put a link up on the website. Doing Donuts. You can go buy one of these fine shirts there.
Bring that up again later in another segment when we get rolling into segments, and we'll.
Right on.
And by the way, did you know? I did not know this. Interestingly, do you know it's Just Dunkin' now? They've officially changed their name to Just Dunkin'. It's no longer Dunkin' Donuts.
What are they dunking?
They changed it a few years back. I don't know.
I did not know that.
My son bought they have this cereal, like, breakfast cereal. It's like sugar-coated sugar on sugar donuts with sugar, and then frosting and sugar.
And then the powder, they put a little extra powder on top. Yeah,
so I'm reading the back of the cereal box, because sometimes at breakfast I'm just sitting there like looking for something to read. And it had their timeline, and it was like, when the first one was opened and so on and so forth. And then at some point, within the past like 10 years, they just switched the name to Dunkin'.
I don't get it. What are they dunking? Did you just dunk everything?
I guess.
Just walk in, hey, we're dunking.
Yeah.
You got a basketball goal
if
somewhere?
You have not
Do we
seen,
get if I can dunk the basketball when I walk into your establishment, if I can dunk it, do I get something free?
All right. This is Jay, this is for both you and our audience. Mm-hmm. If you have not seen this, go on, just pull up in Google and search for vanilla nut taps. Okay, you're gonna find vanilla nut taps. You're gonna find a Saturday Night Live episode, which is a Dunkin' Donuts parody, and it's I think it's Casey Affleck.
Yeah,
it is hilarious. It is hilarious.
Okay.
And Duncan loved it so much that they actually even made the little vanilla nuts. You just have to watch it.
That's awesome. Okay. So speaking of Saturday Night Live, I have two favorite skits all time. The first one is Jimmy Fallon with Mick Jagger, where Jimmy's playing Mick and Mick is Mick, and they're talking back and forth like it's a mirror. It's just hilarious. That one is great. But really, every Christmas, man, I look for the replay of I like my how do you like my sweaty balls?
Yeah, with Alec Baldwin. Pete Sweaty.
Pete Sweaty. Yeah, I'm Pete Sweaty. Oh my, how your balls look. They're glistening.
Like, it's supposed to be NPR or PBS or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right.
Great stuff, man. But anyway, Saturday Night Live is hilarious. They're getting a little. I've been watching them a little bit more. They're starting to get good again. I think. It's that's the way it works with Saturday Night Live. You have a group of cast members that really take it to that next level, and I've been fortunate. I mean, the age that I am. I mean, I was around for the very first Saturday Night Live, and boy, it couldn't get any better than that with that cast. You thought. And then comes Eddie Murphy. Holy cow, man! Changed the world, man. I think, but Eddie was definitely one of the highlights for that show. And then your Jimmy Fallon's and man, it just on and on and on and on. Just good stuff, man. Will Ferrell, big fan of his. So.
I've definitely watched it more lately than I had in previous years.
Yeah, it's funny out here West Coast. They will air it live here, so it's early. But then there's a rerun of it, or they'll run an old one. So I get like back to back. Maybe it's a new one, maybe it's an old one. It's pretty good. Yeah. So that's just kind of one of the disadvantages of living in the upper left coast, is what we like to call it,
right?
Or the left coast. So yeah, it's just kind of a weird. I really enjoy living Central Time.
Yeah, me too.
Because everything was, early.
Central? Everything is central. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is central.
You're kind of in the middle of everyththing. I mean,
central. Yes.
You don't have to deal with the extremes. Yeah.
Right. So, hey, all right.
So, while we're on the topic of extremes, now.
All right. Texas boy.
I need to start. Okay. So, nobody listens to me, okay? Because I know that many, many times on this program, we have said, look, I know y'all like your self-driving automobiles. I know you like your Tesla autopilot. I know you people out there jamming your tangerines in the steering wheel and taking naps on the interstate while your car drives.
Man, yeah.
As a technology person, okay, as someone that has a base level understanding of what's going on inside the computer systems of those automobiles, I'm telling you, actually, I'm pleading with you. ladies and gentlemen, please stop trying to use any sort of self-driving feature on your automobiles. They are not capable of it. We are not ready for it. We are not there yet.
Right.
Part of the reason we're not there yet is because of the infrastructure of our roads. Like, so you're basically trying to teach a machine learning. You're trying to teach machines to recognize things in the physical realm that have a lot of variables in them. They don't always use the same paint on the side of the road. It's not always the same color. Not every taillight works the same. Not every taillight is the same color. Not every taillight is LEDs. Not every stop sign looks the same. Things get faded out. This is where you're introducing all these variables, and this is where we run into trouble. Okay?
Right.
But apparently Domino's is ain't having it. Because they're marching right on ahead with what do we got, Jay?
Well, I think it's an interesting idea. It's already proven to work in controlled environments, like college campuses and stuff like that, where they deliver things, meals and stuff. But my understanding is there is a self-driving robot that is going to be delivering some pizzas. So it's what I understand, Domino's Pizza, who, I don't know, are you a Domino's Pizza fan, by the way?
I am. Yeah, I mean, so a lot of it boils down to what's closer to wherever we are when we want one. But yeah, I'll do it. I used to, here you go. I used to work as a delivery driver for Domino's in college.
What?
Back when they had the 30-minute guarantee.
Wow, that was dangerous in itself. That was cutting edge because it put a lot of people's lives at risk.
Well, I got pulled over a couple times. I don't think I ever got a ticket. I had a Mustang, and I had the little blue and orange hat and the.
But did you not have like the Domino sign on the rooftop of the car?
No, they didn't. They had just started doing that, and it was kind of optional, and not everybody did it.
Do you think cops turned their head whenever they see a Domino's sign?
Well, I had
delivery.
Kind of a side story here, but I had a situation where I was, because how we got paid was basically like, and this is before GPS. Okay, you would learn the neighborhoods, and you could go look at the hot rack, which is where when they would make the orders, they would put them under basically a heat rack, and I would go, okay, this one and that one over there and this one right here. These are all in the same neighborhood, and I can hit them all. Like, I can go to this street, and then that street's the next street over, and then that street's the next street over. And I can hit all three of those within the 30-minute window if I go to, what's the oldest one here? Okay, so I'm going to that one first, all right? And it was smart. Like, you don't just grab one order and run out the door because you're not going to make as much money that way, okay?
Right.
So I got pulled over because I was racing that, and we used to call them clock watchers, and they would put it on like the customer's profile in the computer system. It would say clock watcher, meaning like he's called in before and gone, hey, you were at 32 minutes, and I, so I need my free pizza, and so I was trying to get there before the clock watcher's time ran out, and I got pulled over. And the guy, he said, what are you doing? And I'm going to have my uniform on and all that. And he let me off with a warning. And I went back and I told my boss, and he goes, what was his name? And I told him the officer's name, and he goes, yeah, I used to be a delivery driver for me. He's not going to write you a ticket.
So there you go. They understand. They get it. So here's where we're going with this, guys. Apparently, Domino's has teamed up or partnered up with Neuro. And I would have to say it's probably more Neuro seeking out a company that works and fits their program. But what this is, it is a autonomous delivery system. Basically, Neuro is it's a self-driving robot, and they've been testing in the Houston market now for about 2 years.
Neuro was founded by two Google engineers.
Right.
Okay.
And they fall into that family tree, that big Google family tree.
Google has done many a test pilots with autonomous, motorization.
They are heavy they are heavy into it. But the company says select customers in Houston who make a prepaid delivery order from its store in the Woodland Heights neighborhood during certain dates and times can have their pizza brought to them by a Neuro R2 robot. Now, if these guys are speeding, will the cop robots that we just podcasted about ticket them, pull them over?
Right. So you potentially have a robot arguing with a robot over,
right,
license and registration. Right.
Boy, that's gonna come to chips.
Well,
I'll tell you. But
and these are small. Like the vehicles themselves look small. So is it the kind of thing where it kind of pulls over when rides on the shoulder when a car comes up behind? It looks like they're already using these for grocery deliveries. CVS pharmacies using them. Here's the issue that I have with this, okay? And very, very rarely do I ever take like a hard stance on one side or the other. You and I both, we're kind of just fans of, we're sportscasters, we're observers. We don't have a favorite team, right? But man, I am just telling you, this is a recipe for trouble. This thing's going to run over a kid in a tricycle. It's going to run over somebody's dog. I mean, we had this huge, just recently, I don't know if you know about this, and this was horrible. Apparently somebody had a camera in their home, like a smart cam, and they got the whole thing on video, and I saw it. There's two small children playing in a playroom.
I saw it.
And they got the Peloton treadmill.
The Peloton, yes.
And the kid's ball goes underneath the Peloton.
Right.
And he reaches underneath, and the treadmill's turned on, and he dies. He dies.
It's just terrible, man.
And so
just absolutely terrible.
The whole automated, I don't know how many times we have to say this. Stop with the AI. It is not. We don't need it. We don't need this.
No, fine example. Texas is going crazy with this stuff, man. I mean, Texas has been on the map for a while with this sort of stuff. Just things happening in that in that state. Do they have a bullseye on them? I mean, what do we got? What else we got going on? Let's.
Okay, so
AI is the topic of discussion here. Keep that in your brain. Let's talk about this.
All right,
ready? Go.
Also in Texas, we have another. Let's just state, AI self-driving, where two people in a Tesla. I believe this was a Model S, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was.
And
it was not a newer model. It was a 2019.
Okay, so the car crashed, burst into flames. Okay, this is also near Houston. Okay,
right.
This is the interesting part. It killed two men. Nobody in the driver's seat. Nobody driving the vehicle.
And it's weird, man. When you dug deeper into it, I don't even think that the autopilot was engaged. Even is what, according to the black box, if you will.
Preliminary reports suggest the car was traveling at a high rate of speed and failed to make a turn, then drove off the road into a tree. And I understand you're trying to impress your friends with your Tesla and whatever. What are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? What happens if something goes wrong?
Right. And what part of, these things we are so far away from these things working the right way, or not, I shouldn't say to its full potential. But there's a lot of learning that has to continue to go on. This is not, look, here's where AI works. It's proven to work. We know it works. You take this part and you put it here. There are no other variables involved when you grab this part and you put it here for the assembly line. But when you have AI out on the open road, when there's
what
squirrels,
kind of paint? Yep, squirrels,
right. deer,
other vehicles. What kind of paint's on the lanes? What happens if the paint got rubbed off on that side of the lane? And then. Then we find out, according to Musk, who tweeted a response, Elon Musk, that said, hey, this guy didn't even have the full self-driving. Like, he didn't buy the upgrade that would enable this car to officially be able to do this.
Right.
Nor, as you previously said, did they have autopilot turned on.
Right. It's weird. It's Musk, he claims the data logs recovered suggested that it wasn't engaged. So what were these people thinking? And here's the thing. Okay, so if it crashed like it crashed, were these people buckled in these seats?
Well, if it's at a high rate of speed and it crashed into a tree, like it hit something and burst into flames and it hit it hard, that's going to knock you somewhere. And
so that's why I'm thinking it's like, maybe there's more to this than we know right now. this could be true, but I just kind of find it hard to believe that you knowingly you've done this, decided not to take control of the vehicle and allow the car when it's not fully set up to do that, and for it not to be engaged. So there's a lot of this story that doesn't add up to me. And obviously, as the safety board gets involved, they'll start peeling the layers back to find out really what happened.
And the two other things that I tended to like. Here's some facts that I was drawn into. These were adults. These were older men, if I'm not mistaken. They were old enough to know better. I saw their ages in another article, and I don't remember, but I want to say it was like middle-aged or better, like old enough to know better. The other thing, and this is where Jay and I have speculated, and we're going to get to this here in a minute when we get to our Toyota segment. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, we do these in segments. If you want the whole thing, go to our website at partscounterguru.com, and there's a podcast links, or just I think it's just called podcast now, tab at the top. And you click on that, and it'll take you to wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. You can find all those podcast platforms and a link to our show on them, and you get the whole thing. You get the whole show.
Yep.
So we got a Toyota segment coming up, but this first generation, second generation EV situation where we're using lithium batteries that are highly volatile.
Right.
And this is where we think that some of these companies like Toyota, perhaps Bosch, perhaps some of the other ones are more interested in solid state because they are not, it's more stable, it's less volatile. This thing kept reigniting, and firefighters could not put it out because of those batteries and the lithium gases that kept leaking. And they literally called, it says so right here, firefighters tried to contact Tesla to go, how do we put this thing out? They couldn't get it. They couldn't get it extinguished.
Right. Tesla previously provided some guidance for first responders when they encounter fires involving these types of crashes, because reignition of the battery can be a problem for sure, because it's unlike gas-powered vehicles, man, where when you have a crash and it's a fuel-sourced fire, you eliminate the source, the fire goes away. The problem with EV batteries like this is that they can reignite 3-4 days after. Right. Because they're unstable at this point. Right, exactly.
Oh, and by the way, everybody this is controversial, I understand that, but all you people that say, well, my electric car is carbon neutral, that is highly toxic chemicals coming out of those batteries. Highly toxic. Right.
Highly, and that's why the move to solid state is so important if we can get that battery technology or another alternative source of power, like the hydrogen fuel cell. All that stuff's really, you got to be careful too, but there's a lot of different ways to get there, and we've talked about that in previous podcasts. God, my brain is like, it's weird.
I love cars. I love technology. It's cool to see the marriage of the two. People have got to stop doing stupid stuff or they're going to ruin it for everyone. Now, to be fair, I don't know the full, maybe there was a third person and they were ejected from the vehicle, and that we're going to find that out later. It just looks like this is a situation where somebody was doing something they shouldn't have been doing.
I think so, and I think when it all irons out, when after the investigations are completed, it's going to be negligent on behalf. I bet behalf of the owners of the
so Tesla's pulling data from their black box, and they're going to, I'm sure, work with the transportation safety board to figure all that out.
Right. It's crazy, man. So, Texas, dude. You guys have been in the news a lot.
Is Texas going to be the next Florida?
They already are. I think it's just bigger in size. That's all. Everything's bigger in Texas, man. That's what they say. So what's next, man? What else we got going on?
Well, let's talk Toyota for a minute, shall we?
Toyota. Remember the old Toyota commercials before we get into this?
With a guy that would jump.
They would jump and
they would freeze frame him with his heels clicking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I? Boy, do I.
Boy, do I as well. Boy, do I as well. So what do we got going on at Toyota? This is something new. This is awesome.
So
everybody's talking about it.
Coming out of the Shanghai Auto Show, we had actually quite a few newsworthy events, which I find interesting. And in Toyota's case, they confirmed that this is going to be intended for the U.S. market as well. Mm-hmm. They've got a BZ4X EV, okay, that is coming to the United States. Toyota just launched what they call their Beyond Zero. It's a marketing campaign from where I sit. It's a branding thing, but this is their foray into non-internal combustion driven automobiles.
Right, which that subject has come up with you and I many times. You could check some of our previous podcasts where we were discussing where's Toyota at in all this, because they are notorious for hybrid vehicles. Mm-hmm. And, we were kind of wondering, would they ever go into an all-electric platform? Because in other markets, for example, like China, Japan, they do a lot of like compressed natural gas powered vehicles, which is much cleaner, obviously, but it's still it's not carbon neutral. It's much cleaner, but it's not carbon neutral. So the ultimate goal is obviously to get to carbon neutral, and here we go. I mean, they didn't surprise us because it's been being discussed over the last several months that there were some new exciting things happening there with Toyota, and we've seen that. We thought that they were going to be dead in the water after they killed the Land Cruiser.
I'm still bitter. I'm still bitter about that.
I know. And then they killed the FJ, but then they came out with the, there was leaked that they
the Trail Hunter,
name, which indicates to us that we're either going to get another FJ or something there in the likes of. But Toyota's got their what they call their TNGA. This is built on the Toyota New Global Architecture. It's basically their unibody automobile platforms that underpin various Toyota and Lexus models, starting with the fourth generation Prius in 2015. So they're sticking with that model. Now they're electrifying it. They go by it's ETNGA. Mm-hmm. I call it just for short ETNGA. And they touched on it, like I said,
several months ago. Did you just come up with that? Is that you?
No.
The ETNGA? Yeah. Is that you?
No,
is that your term?
Maybe. I don't know. Hey, anybody, if you want to, come on the podcast and tell us how to actually pronounce that or what everybody's called. I don't know. I mean, that's what I just came up with. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that's what it is.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. There's a first for everything. But yeah, it's nice to see Toyota making this push as everybody else is in the EV world. This is so amazing to me. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time.
Now, I got several thoughts on this.
Okay.
Surprise.
Not you, man.
Not now. Now, you said something earlier before we went on the air, and you said a lot of people are comparing this to
the RAV4.
And
it's not.
I see it. You said you see it to be more of a Lexus.
Yes.
I think it depends on the size, but I do see the same, the current generation RAV4, I see those same aggressive design lines.
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, I do see some Lexus in there, man. Maybe it's the roof line.
Yeah.
That gets me.
Yeah.
That could be it. But if you notice in the rendering, and this is just a rendering, but from what we understand from Shanghai, that this is pretty close to. Man, I should eat some donuts or something.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's pretty close to what the production model will be, and it looks pretty good. I like it. I mean, it's
now
it's sleek looking, but are they stealing from Lexus?
Well, that's their company. Yeah. That's not really stealing. But
But what's happening? I mean, are they making a different move? I mean, because Toyota just seemed to be kind of like, that was the intention, was to have a higher end offering, and that's where Lexus comes in, just like with Honda and Acura.
Well, the Venza is a great example of just a solid automobile with a lot of features that rivaled its Lexus sister in terms of value for the dollar, and reliability. And people were very surprised that this new generation of the Venza had all these features for a non-Lexus vehicle, right?
Right.
So here's something else that I wanted to jump on.
Okay.
And this is one of those, like, you have automakers taking either side of this stance.
Right.
I'm going to call it the fuel door. Even though I know it's electric and it plugs in, it's still it's a recharge door. It looks like the gas fuel door. Okay, so Tesla notoriously, yes,
unless, and I bet you that somewhere down the road we're going to see this, where you'll have in-home, where you can install in your garage a charging pad that you drive up on, and it charges.
Well, I mean, the problem they have right now with that is the deliverance, the amount of
voltage,
current, whatever, that they need to push through that it's just not there yet. But
I'm saying,
yeah. So this is on the front. No. It's on the driver's side, and it's right behind the front wheel. Now, you see a lot of Teslas that have it where the traditional gas door would be, which is in the rear quarter panel, right?
And then you see some up top too. I've seen some vehicles that have it up top.
So most of the public recharging stations, not talking about your house, not talking about your garage or your driveway or whatever, but like parking lots. Like if you go into a grocery store and they have the recharge stations, or like they have parking garages around here by me, they're at the front of the parking space. So you pull in, okay, and then you stop, and there's that little machine, and and the cords are long enough. You can take it around to the back of your Tesla, and it'll reach.
Right.
But you see a lot of guys with Teslas or other cars that have the EV charging port in the back, they back in, okay?
Yes. Yep.
Well, then we have places like here where I live where it says pull in only. So now you're going to have this argument where the guy's going to get a ticket because he's supposed to pull in only, and he's like, well, my charging dock's in the back, and the cord wasn't long enough or whatever, and so you can't write me a ticket for that because you guys own the charging station and I'm using it and I'm a customer and whatever, blah, 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 blah. My point is, it looks like there's starting to be a change or a migration towards putting the charging ports in the front part of the vehicle for that reason.
Right. For starters, it's less of a task to modify these in the design than change the whole infrastructure of how we've already done things. So it makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
And again, like you said, it eliminates that issue where they force you to pull in, and then you've got people backing in, like you said, that they would rather do it on the Teslas. But this makes sense. It's a good move, to do that. That's something I didn't even think of as you were discussing that, but that makes. And because I don't drive an EV, so it doesn't. Some of those little things like that didn't dawn on me that could be a problem for somebody. And do you think that people, the charging stations that are being installed, are they thinking of that? Do they even consider, well, where's the charging door?
Yeah, well, and how do you realistically solve that if it's in a parking lot? Like, you can't really put it behind the parking spot. Like, what do you?
Well, I guess you could. I mean, like for example, with vacuum, like if you go to car washes, sometimes the vacuum pull-ins, the hose is, so it kind of moves.
But you're giving up parking, right?
Yeah, so, that's true.
Because you have to space them out further if you're putting an island in between them versus putting an. I don't know.
That's a good observation. That's a good point. It's a very good point, man. So, having said that, man, this is not going to be the only electric vehicle that Toyota is going to be bringing out, right?
Right. They've got, 7 planned in this Beyond Zero lineup? Did I see that?
They are saying it is a large push towards carbon neutrality for them. That's which everybody's trying to get there. They are expanding its global electrified vehicle portfolio, which includes hydrogen fuel cell electric, hybrid, and plug-in hybrid vehicles to a total of 70 models by 2025. Of those 70 models, 15 will be full battery electric vehicles, BEVs, as they call them, 7 of which, like you just said, Keith, will be part of the Beyond Zero brand, or the BZ brand. So, and they've got some pickups that are going to be electrified in the near future as well. They hinted at that as well, so stay tuned to that. Now, could that be where the Trail Hunter comes in? Will that maybe be? Because look what Jeep's doing with an electric assist. You've got the Chevrolet Silverado all electric. You've got the Ford F-150 all electric. Yeah, I mean, why not? Toyota's. I mean, hey, if you can do it, we can do it too. And they've been out of the spotlight from being in.
They're not
being
leading.
A player in those.
They're not leading. They're not the innovative leader that they have historically been known to be.
Right.
They've sort of been waiting to see how this whole thing shakes loose.
I think a lot of them have been doing this. You know, there's been some aggressiveness by some, but it's just, you know, they were not leading the industry in EVs. I think, and Keith, you've brought this up on several occasions. Could it be that peer pressure? You know, is this a peer pressure moving them to that?
We're going to do, we've got an interesting episode planned around that concept, and we have a company that we've been talking with that works in this automotive space. They are making the case to us that they are more on the B2B side, that they service businesses, and we have made the case back to them that, oh, no, you don't understand. The automotive industry responds to peer pressure a lot, which is unfortunate, and it's really not the right way to do things, but it's reactionary. It's like, oh, well, everybody over here is doing an EV. We need to do one too. Oh, well, somebody over here is doing an electric truck. Us too. Oh, well, you know, this car can turn sideways. We're going to do that too. Oh, well, they have giant screens in their EV. We're going to put giant screens in our EV. And to some extent, that's just sort of the way it works in the world. Right. But it seems like the auto industry, like, since I can remember, you know, seeing car commercials, it has been heavily motivated by peer pressure. And I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to learn more, here's how you can do it. Do 2 things. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the bell, hit the subscribe button. That will let you know when we have new content come out. And then go on over to our website at partscounterguru.com. Click the podcast link, and you can subscribe to your podcast platform of choice, and then you'll be notified when the full audio podcast episodes come out. And you'll be ready.
How much does that cost them?
Oh man, are you going to let me do this one? Like, this is yours. It's free to you. It's priceless to us.
See. I mean, it's a winner chicken dinner, man.
This is almost like Doc Severinsen coming out when Johnny's on vacation and going, you know, doing the golf swing, or, you know, here's Johnny. Like, it's not the same, but yeah, I digress.
But for those of you on social media fans, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, all that stuff. Go to facebook.com/PartsCounterGurus. You can go to Instagram.com/The Parts Counter Gurus, and you can also follow us on Twitter. And our handle is @TheCounterShow, which is what you're listening to right now. So there you go. Got all that. So what's up next, my friend?
Is it time for what?
We want to do some storytelling?
All right.
Is that what we're doing?
All right then. If you
ready?
If you insist.
I love it, man. Stories of Keith and Jay. The relationship.
All right. You said you had one, right? Or do you want... Okay.
Yes. I think you guys all know that Keith and I, we talk a lot about Apple. we've talked about them, God, ad nauseum. Really, don't you think? I mean, because they're constantly coming up. I mean, they just had a presser yesterday, I think, too. I think they changed the color of one of the iPhones.
Was it yesterday or today? Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to ask my 11-year-old.
Yeah, I think they invented a new iPad or something. I don't know. But anyway.
By the way, this portion of the program brought to you by Apple with the new iPhone 33X that now has an answer button. You just click the button to answer your phone, everybody. It's revolutionary. Okay, I digress.
Right.
Go ahead, Jay.
Right. So, when Keith and I first met, I would say after about a year of you being on board with us, being a team member there, you were just always like Mr. Gadget is what I nicknamed you, Mr. Gadget, because you always had some sort of like new technology at your fingertips, and you were excited about it.
What you talking about?
I've never seen. I mean, you were very passionate about Apple products at that time. You were a huge Steve Jobs fan. You were very excited about the innovation that was coming out, the things that were happening with the iPod, and then the iPhone comes out. And I just happened to walk into your office one day, man, and you're just tinkering with GarageBand or something on your iPhone or something. And I'm like, what is that? And you're like, dude, you got to look at this. Look at this. See, you're writing songs, man, on this little tiny handheld iPhone. And you said, you have to get one, man. You trust me, I'm telling you, you're going to want one of these. And at that time, I think I still had like a flip phone or something, man. I was still like in the dark ages with the flip phone, and I'd never had a smartphone.
Jay's with his StarTAC. His Motorola StarTAC. It's like that thick. Yeah.
Right. I think I even had a beeper at the time. So I don't know, but I just remember it was almost like you were working for Apple, man. I mean, the sales pitch that came along with why you want an iPhone was like straight out of something like a Steve Jobs moment, man. You know, like when they get out and present the new, this new stuff. But so I bought one, and it changed my world. But it was at that point when I realized how much I wanted to be an Apple fan, because of how much of an Apple fan you were, and how you told me how that entire how everything integrated together will work across all these devices. And it was the best sales pitch for Apple that I had ever gotten.
And this is interesting on several levels. First of all, I guess it's important for me to point out that I am not the fan that I once was of them. Still like their stuff, still use their stuff, using a MacBook Pro right now. I just feel like there's been some changes in that organization that kind of lost their vision. I'm a huge fan of innovation. And anything that sort of pushes, and so are you, Jay, and anything that pushes that envelope of, wow, I can literally like look at a calendar on the same device that I have to, call like somebody, and I can, so, or carry all my music with me on the same device that I use to talk or whatever.
Right.
And I felt like, and there have been documentaries on this, these sort of Apple fanboys that are, just out there basically what do you call it? Like they're prophets for the company, right? They're out there just preaching. Okay. And that is less of a movement than it used to be, I think, because Apple is no longer the underdog. But the other thing that's interesting to me about this is, and so Jay went full on Apple at some point.
I was
bought into the ecosystem.
You and your wife were with me at the Apple store the day that I purchased my first iMac.
That's right. I was a part of that.
I had you. Yeah, you. She was my wife for a day. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She played my wife for the day. And I came home with a beautiful 24-inch iMac, and it changed my world. Everything from there changed. I mean, it really did. my wife still to this day absolutely loves. I still own that same iMac. It's getting old. It's
put it in a museum at some point.
Yeah, right.
Jay's
but it's
first
just
Mac.
so durable. That's when Apple built products that were like really just noteworthy and robust and had everything in it to last. But now it's kind of questionable.
You told me this is going to be a short story. Now, here's the other interesting thing to me that I can't let this go. So every time this happens, it surprises me. I should just learn that I should just learn to expect it. But as I'm thinking through, because Jay and I, we put a pretty good amount of planning into these programs. Like, we don't just show up and wing it. Although we did do an episode where we just showed up and winged it, and we did it on
just
purpose.
for the heck of it.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah, go subscribe at partscounterguru.com and you'll find it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what was it, DGAF or something like
Yeah,
that?
DGAF.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm out on a run, and this has been over the past couple days, and just going, well, what topics? What are we going to talk about? And so I have 2 or 3 stories. We're doing these stories as a lead up to the 100th episode, kind of how it all started. Okay. And here is the story that kept coming into my head as what I wanted to talk about next. It was, okay, I sort of remember this experience that Jay had with this whole Apple thing. And it literally, I was like, okay, I kind of want to talk about that. And I was trying to figure out how to frame it. And then you show up and you bring, we did not talk about this before.
We did not.
Okay.
I said, you asked me this morning if do you have something for the story, story about us? And I said, yeah, I do.
That was it.
But that's it.
That's
We
it.
never discussed. Yeah.
So here's my angle of that. So the other side of that story that I didn't even know we were going to talk about today, but ironically I was prepared, was the reason that this right here, this Parts Counter Gurus media channel that we do, the reason that this works, okay, goes back to that. There's a lot of reasons, but that's one of them. And let me explain what I mean. So, Jay, as far as I know, most of our lives you've been older than me, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I joke a lot on this program where people go, I joke a lot in real life where people are just like, I'm not very computer literate. And people tend to blame age. And they tend to say, I'm scared of new things. I don't like technology. And they tend to use that as, age being I'm too old and whatever. Here's the thing that I immediately recognized in Jay is, back to the first story that we told. And he was like, well, wait a second. Show me what you did. How'd you do that?
Right.
And so it doesn't even really have anything to do with computers or technology per se, except that you have somebody here that's like, hey, teach me. What did you do here? And Jay, now let's see, you have a computer science background from MIT, right? Is that right? Did I get that right?
Oh, yeah.
No, not at all.
MIT.
How much computer official, professional computer training and certification technology, any?
No,
Okay.
I never had any professional training on it.
And yet, here we have someone that's like, oh, well, this is interesting. How does this work?
Anything is achievable.
And you were just telling me something about your dad earlier that fit right into this, which was your dad is a pretty good woodworker and is doing some cabinetry.
Yep.
And now he went to a trade school for that?
No, not at all.
He worked for Bob Vila as his assistant in this old house for 3 years, right?
He could have been Bob Vila. He should have had his own show.
But
no doubt about it.
The point is, it's that same mentality, which is, you have a choice, everybody. You can be scared to death of something that you don't know,
right?
Or you can go, well, I might benefit if I, just at
learn
least
it.
Tried to just understand what I'm doing here.
Right. And what happens with that, Keith, what I have learned as a good student or as someone who is willing to step in and try something, and look, this is another thing why Keith and I get along. And again, I said this in our last episode when we were talking about this. You're a great teacher, and I appreciate that, because you have to have patience with people because people learn differently. That's just how it is. There's nobody, no two individuals are going to learn in the exact same way. There may be methods that you use to get to that point that are the same, but how they learn and retain things are differently. So that's really important for me, and to have that's where you come into play, is the fact that you're patient enough to understand that, okay, he's got this. Let's let him make a mistake for a second. He'll figure it out. Learning and making mistakes go hand in hand. We would have not gotten to the moon had we not had we not made mistakes throughout that process, and unfortunately we lost lives. That's with anything, and that ties back into AI technology. I mean, it will get there, but we are not there yet. But it will get there. It takes time with learning and developing and not being afraid to try things.
And I think even though we didn't know at the time, that it was going to end up being what it is today, right. I think that there was something that we both recognized there. I mean, I certainly did, that and I would say things like, we need to be recording these conversations, but I am just telling you, I'm telling everyone within the sound of my voice right now, the reason this works is due in no small part to Jay's ability to just be willing and open to learning something new.
Well, thanks,
and
man.
That's not. I mean, because honestly, age is irrelevant. It is completely irrelevant. I mean, I know people that are in their 20s that are like, I am not. Don't try. It's a mindset, right? Like, just and it's scary. I get it. Sometimes it's like, ooh, but
we're
not. This isn't the Apollo program. We're not putting people on rockets, and
No, you're not going to. But the thing is, though, and I think the moral to this story is that you shouldn't be afraid to try something, because you can quickly limit yourself to your success by not being willing to try something. So, did I know that I would be podcasting 10 years ago? No, had no idea. Didn't even cross my mind. I was busy being a product developer. Product manager, traveling around the world, looking for plants to produce product. That's what I was doing. But what I can relate to is good conversation. And I've said this before, if you can listen to something and open your ears and your eyes and listen, you've got a great conversation. There's things to talk about. And that's what we do. And I think that's why Keith and I get along so well. And that's why we've been so successful with this, and we're on our way to 100 episodes, is that we like to discuss things that are very interesting to our audience. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun, man. And I would not be here had it not been for that first iPhone. Seriously. I honestly think that getting that first iPhone and grabbing it and using it and understanding the whole architecture of what Apple was, and I say was because they're really not. I mean, they're getting left.
It's a different company.
It's a different company. Yeah. They're not the leader, the innovator that they used to be. And I think you, Keith, saw that coming way back. Actually, even before Jobs passed away. When he was sick, but hopefully those things will change. We'll see what happens, man. But I do want to add one other quick thing, and I'm just going to bring this up. Keith and I both love sushi, and he has a unique ability to find to take you to places that you know you're going to like it when you get there, right? So we're both big sushi fans, and I would pick a place, he would pick a place, just to meet up. And this is after Keith had left the company and moved on. And
Jay's on iPhone 3 by this point, right?
Right.
Timeline. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he would call me up. Hey man, what are you doing? You want to get some lunch? Yeah, sure. Where at? You pick. You want some sushi? Yeah, sure. Here's the address. Okay. So Peter's Sushi in
Still
it's
here.
Brentwood.
It's Brentwood. Yeah, still here.
It's in Brentwood,
He's moved
Tennessee.
around like the building a little bit, but it's still there.
The most amazing and fresh sushi that I had ever eaten, and I don't think I've been to any place since that really quite topped it. But tell them why that's so unique, man. Because it's a mixture, right? I think his wife is
It's Thai food. Yeah.
Thai
so,
food.
So,
yes.
so, so I got to know that family. Peter was a chef at another Japanese restaurant, and his wife worked there too. And we had a neighbor at the time that had just a little like he was like a 2-year-old, and he has since graduated from high school last year just to kind of time set this. And so we would go in, and they were not really very busy at the time, and something clicked, and I met Peter, and I met his wife, and they would always come out and make a big deal about the little boy, our neighbor's little boy. And they loved him, and they just loved kids, and there's a good indication there they were just good people. And I just loved talking to them when we could, when they weren't busy. And so it turned out that Peter had moved here to the Nashville area from Detroit and worked in the auto industry.
Yeah.
And I don't know where he learned. I'm sure it was like on-the-job training, but learned to do such a great job with sushi. But he and his wife would come and talk to me, and they would just say, we have such a hard time with our suppliers. They want us to buy the stuff that's about to expire, and we just are not okay with that, and it costs a little bit more to do it the right way and all that. But this is the kind of stuff you and I talk about, Jay. Mm-hmm. He had ended up branching out and starting his own restaurant with his wife. And I think the reason that they did so well, they weren't the cheapest, but it was the best quality, and people could tell.
Yeah.
And they just...
you would
lived
walk
to
in
that
and,
standard, yeah.
Yeah, and they were... You would walk in, and there would be some very well-known...
Oh, they had pictures on the wall of all the celebrities that had
celebrities.
signed
we're talking... Yeah, a lot of course, Nashville has the Tennessee Titans, so that it would be nothing to see the old coach Jeff Fisher sitting in there. He would frequent it, and I'd seen a few stars in there myself.
And they got that way because they really just refused to compromise their principles, and... It's to the point now where, good luck getting a seat, they are that busy.
True. This is true. And it was that way, when I was there years ago, even then. So I can't imagine how it must be now. And like you said, he's moved now?
So he's in the same area, that big, strip mall, but they've moved, they bought the one next door and knocked the wall down and put them both together, and it's a little different.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me of our Vegas trip we took 2018. Was it 18?
19.
19?
Yeah.
SEMA?
Yeah, 19.
Remember we went off the strip and went to that sushi place, man?
Yeah.
God, it was so good, man.
Yeah.
It was so good, but I think the bar was set for me with sushi. That's how sushi should be. That it should be that fresh, that good.
Yeah.
And so even without Keith, if I couldn't get him on board, I was going, man. I just saw.
Right.
I got to tell you, I went out on you, brother.
Good for you, man. That's fine.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, while we're on the subject of fun things, it's now like weird fact.
All right, everybody. So make sure if you want to hear more of these, all leading up to the 100th episode. It's going to be a spectacular event. Make sure that you're subscribed. PartsCounterGuru.com has all the details. It'll be our 100th podcast episode. We've got way more than 100 videos out there, like multitudes more. But yes.
Yeah, tons.
All right. Now, so click all the bells and ring and push all the buttons, and you'll be...
Subscribe, please subscribe.
Now, Jay, on to your... You want to... Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm going to... Get some weird automotive factoids
I like to call
stuff.
these Jay's Weird Facts.
Jay's Weird Facts. So,
right.
Again,
I
you
came
have
up
to
with
pick
that myself.
Pick a number between 1 and 50.
All right. 49. You don't like my choice?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Oh, you gotta scroll through.
Oh.
Okay. Oh
Yeah,
I see now because I'm making you go all the way to the. Okay, yeah.
That's okay. It's all right. All right. Yeah, because these are random, man. I have no idea what it's going to be. Even I didn't know this. Okay. Did you know that Louis Chevrolet, who was the co-founder of Chevrolet, died a poor man?
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know who that was. Okay.
Yeah, Louis Chevrolet. You know what's funny? I was in basic training with a guy whose last name was Buick, and I just jokingly said, "Wow, man, that's the car's name." And yeah, that was my great grandfather or something like that, the Buick guy.
So
there you go.
You're suggesting now that because I have a kid on my little league team whose last name Ford, that I need to, follow that. Yeah,
need to follow
breadcrumb trail.
Yeah. But,
so,
hey,
do you have any more info on Mr. Lewis? Or
I don't know what he died of, but at least his name will live on forever. You know, it may be in lowercase blue now, but we'll see. So,
if you guys don't know what Jay's talking about, GM just changed their logo recently, and you need to go back and watch that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pick another number. One more. This is the last one. We do two on each show. You ready?
I'm going to go
Pick
50.
You going 50,
wait. Before we do that, here, I'm going to give you a little bit more info on Louis Chevrolet. He died June 6, 1941. I just pulled the wiki up. He died in Detroit, 1941, at the age of 62. This guy had one of those distinguished mustaches. Early career, Frontenac and American car companies. He's involved in auto racing by the mid-1910s. He shifted into the racing car industry. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum in Speedway, Indiana features a memorial at the entrance to the building dedicated to the accomplishments of Louis Chevrolet.
Hey, see, Dan? Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
We should know these. Now we do. And now you do. Our audience knows.
Chevrolet had differences with Durant over the car's design, and in 1915 sold Durant his share in the company and started McLaughlin's company in Canada building Chevrolets. By 1916, the trading of Chevrolet stock for GM holding stock enabled Durant to repurchase controlling stake in General Motors. And by 1917, the Chevrolet company that Louis had co-founded was merged as a company into General Motors. After the outstanding Chevrolet stocks were purchased. So basically the guy just got pushed out, it looks like.
Yeah, that happens, That happens a lot in the automotive industry.
In 1916, Louis Chevrolet and his brothers, I can't write this stuff, and his brothers founded the Frontenac Motor Corporation to make racing parts for the Ford Model Ts.
Oh, no way!
Yeah.
How about that, man? For a conclusion on that story.
Yeah,
That's
you go.
funny, interesting.
All right, number 50.
Number 50. Okay, did you know, Keith, that if a car's remote, the button on the remote is pressed 256 times in a row without being in range of the car, the remote will become completely dysfunctional? Did you know that?
Come on.
That's what it says,
like you'll
man.
brick it?
I guess so, man. According to this, so we're gonna go with that. We're gonna live on that factoid. And if you know any differently, if you want to disprove us, please go on over to the comment sections and let us know. If you want to leave a comment on our website, you can do that as well. There's a Ask Us a Question tab up there. You can leave a comment there, whatever you want to do, at partscounterguru.com. And hey, when you are on that webpage, man, take a look at it. The dashboard looks great, man. I mean, we've got a YouTube icon and an Amazon icon in the upper right-hand corner up there. YouTube, you can get to our YouTube channel there. While you're there, please subscribe. Click that bell to be notified. Give us some thumbs up, some likes. Likes means a lot to us. You can also shop on Amazon by clicking the Amazon icon. If you do that, you click on that icon and you purchase something, it helps us out. We get a little bit of love from those guys. We don't know what you're buying. We don't know who you are. It's all anonymous, but it does give us a little help to continue to bring you these shows, and we love doing what we're doing, and we want to continue to do it. We're growing exponentially with your help. So thank you very, very much.
And I would just add to that, for those of you that want to live life on the edge, go ahead and press your remote 255 times.
250, yeah, there you go.
And then
see what happens.
And then just wait for that next one, and you better get it right. All right.
Yeah.
All right, there you go, Jay. There's your weird facts segment in the books.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What shall we broach?
Let's talk a little insurance.
Okay.
You want to talk a little insurance?
Sure.
I like insurance. Yeah. Insurance is good to have, and I recommend having insurance.
So earlier in the program, we made mention of what I believe to be a long-standing trend in the automotive industry, which is like peer pressure determines kind of the direction and the decision-making in a lot of these auto manufacturers. Mm-hmm. So Tesla, not the first to do this, I believe, or I'm sorry, Tesla was the first to do this.
Right.
Rivian is now entering the game. I kind of let the cat out of the bag there by accident. Oops. But Rivian is now getting into the insurance game on its automobile. So Tesla kind of started that. And we podcasted on that a little bit and talked about, well, Tesla has access, again, we discussed earlier in this program, to the black box, to your car's data recorder. If you get in an accident, they're going to use that to determine whose fault it was. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case.
Right.
So whereas like a third-party company like an Allstate or a State Farm or Shelter or whatever, they don't, unless you give them that information, they're not going to have it, okay?
Right.
So Rivian is entering the insurance business. I would assume this is only going to apply to their manufactured vehicles. What do you got, Jay?
Well, what they're saying as a startup, Rivian does not want to be subjected to what legacy insurance companies will say it costs to repair its vehicles. Typically a minor crash could indicate a write-off. The whole idea with the Rivian insurance, the automaker plans to offer lower premiums, which will give, in turn, less time in body shops and a no-hassle experience when dealing with its accidents, which are already a massive headache. It kind of makes sense because they are offering a vehicle that is intended for off-road use. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've said that previous podcast. Go check it out.
They're saying it, like they're showing you video of it.
Yes, they are planning on offering in 40 different states in the beginning, integrated with the digital ordering process for any of the company's vehicles. The policy will cover not only off-road activity, but also accessories such as the rooftop tent, which we just podcasted about, and we've got a video on our YouTube channel. Go check it out at youtube.com. Parts County Gurus. But the rooftop tent, they have the famous kitchen, the camp kitchen that is there. I mean, you have these things on board. You want to make sure that they are insured properly. But it also gives Rivian, they're in the driver's seat with this. And I think it also kind of demands or commands brand loyalty. It's a startup company.
Yeah. So I think this goes back to two things, like your point earlier about the cost of repairs and sort of dealing with that third party. Did you notice, now I'm looking at Green Car Reports, there's commenting, Rivian will use vehicle connectivity and its knowledge as the manufacturer to diagnose problems. Just like I said, they're going to use that data recorder, and they're going to use a lot of their internal analytics in terms of claims. They better be careful there because if they upset too many of their loyal owners by denying claims, I just am not sure how that's going to,
Well, they can recognize your driving habits, like you said. Now, this is nothing new. My insurance company offered me a dongle that I could plug in. And again, it's a device where they track your accelerating habits, your braking habits, those sorts of things, which will impact your premium. Why that's not a good thing, really, if you're a consumer, while it works great for the insurance company, let's talk real world. And this ties back into what we were talking about with AI and the Tesla crash. There are things that happen that aren't what they appear. And that data recorder is going to be collecting data based on the points that the information coming in. But that information coming in is only in most cases getting a very small portion of what actually happened. What were you doing? Did you have a cup of coffee in your hand and it dropped in your lap and burned your legs and you accelerated? Did you fall asleep? Or did a cat run across in front of your car and you hit the brakes because you're a cat lover? Or even a squirrel. You don't want to hit a squirrel. I mean, who wants to hit a squirrel, right? Anyway. Dodge squirrel. Have you ever played? No, never mind. Never mind. You didn't hear that. No, but seriously, I would not want to take out a squirrel. And I do slow down for them or I stop for them. But
it depends on if there's somebody tailgating me or not. I mean,
this is true. But those are, circumstances, which is something else that dongle is not going to be able to,
right.
That data is not going to be able to tell what's going on with the driver road raging you because you're not moving fast enough.
And I'm not trying to stir the pot. I'm just pointing out that they have more access than some of the third parties do. Now,
no, I agree with you.
Did you see, there are a couple things here that caught my eye. Number one, they pointed to the fact that Tesla got into the game because of the third parties that I just mentioned claiming abnormally high claim rates on Teslas, and Tesla went, well, come on, knock this off. We'll get involved.
Right.
Because they need to make sure that Model S's are expensive. They need to make sure those people can get. If that car becomes too expensive to insure, people won't buy it. If it costs twice as much or 1.5 times as much to insure a Model S as it does one of its rivals, they're going to lose sales over that. So the other thing that they pointed out that I think is interesting is that Rivian is planning to bundle things like auto, home, and boat policies together. So you could potentially get your home insurance through Rivian.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. There is a lot of money to be made as a provider. So this, them being a startup and them doing this could gain them, that revenue they need initially anyway. And if they continue to do it like Tesla has done, it'll be a successful program for them. But again, as we were just pointing out, it doesn't come without you giving up certain information. And you, as a consumer, you need to weigh those options and see if that's, now, have you heard? Is this Keith? And maybe you do, maybe you don't know. I don't know. Now, is this something that Rivian is going to be forcing their buyers to get?
The data that I've got says that you can opt in, if you're a customer, you can opt in to a discount for use of the Rivian's driver aids.
Right.
But if you opt in, the incentive there is that you get a discount. Okay.
Sure.
But the trade-off is that you have to let them track how much you're using those safety features. They're tracking your driving habits, just like you just said.
Right.
So it does look like there is, at least on some level, there are some opt-in, opt-out options.
I wonder, though, if they will partner up with other providers. Let's say...
Oh, I would, no doubt.
You want to go the traditional way and say, let's just throw out a name, State Farm. You want to go State Farm. That's who you've been with all these years. That's who you want to go. Would they partner up with them to ensure that Rivian is not getting, a bad end of the deal, which makes sense. And like you said, with Tesla, one of the reasons what's helpful to them is the fact that they know exactly what's going on with the vehicles. And then, based on, or they know they have access to the data that will lead them down the right path, put it that way. And again, I'm still questioning the recent Tesla crash in Texas as to they're claiming that nobody was physically driving it, but you have a guy in the passenger front seat and a guy in the passenger rear seat, but nobody driving it. I don't know. I find that weird. But anyway, yeah, so I commend Rivian for doing this. This is bold. They're going about everything very boldly.
Right.
I think that Rivian's going to be successful, and if you're going to compete with Tesla, that's what you got to do, man. This is get into the ring. This is exactly what you have to do. Their commitment to the off-roading community is quite obvious, and this sort of stuff just kind of plays right into it. You know, their powertrain warranty, man. I mean, that they have is just unbelievable. We talked about that in a previous podcast. There's a video on that as well.
It's out there right now.
I mean, 175,000. Now, it's not. They have 175,000 mile, 8-year, 175,000 mile on the battery and powertrain. Bumper to bumper, I think, is 5 years, 60,000.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But Tesla, and I think I said this in a previous podcast that Rivian was the longest. It's actually not. From a mileage standpoint, Tesla's actually unlimited mileage. But they have a shorter bumper to bumper. Theirs is only like 4 years, 50,000 on the bumper to bumper. So, but still,
but our point was that those organizations were pushing the threshold of the traditional manufacturers, where
right,
you know, like in the old days with Ford or General Motors, you got 3 years, 36,000 miles,
right,
and you know then
Hyundai. Then Hyundai steps into the ring.
Chrysler before that started offering a longer powertrain warranty.
That was a lifetime.
Yeah.
They gave it a lifetime powertrain warranty. And when they first came out with that, I got to tell you, I was floored. I'm like, that's impossible. You can't do that. You're going to go broke.
It was single owner. It was they knew that you weren't going to keep those things. They had the data. And they needed to make sales, you know, and they were using it.
They did.
Yeah.
That was a desperation thing. But, you know, it's like going into auto parts stores. I remember years ago when the lifetime warranty came out on, like, brake pads. It's like, how do you warranty brake pads for life, man? I mean, that's
they just knew you'd lose your receipt, and they had, you know, and that's true, you know.
Then technology kind of caught up with them because you didn't have to have your receipt as long as you were in the system, which was a better tracking device for the retail outlets. But then you started seeing them change them to limited lifetime warranty where, well, we're going to give you a set of pads 2 times, dude.
Well,
that's 100,000 miles, you know.
And so. I had a now you're pulling me into a rabbit hole. So I used to have a Toyota 4Runner. It was an 86. I think this is
not a Toyota 86, but a Toyota 4Runner that was an 86.
The Back to the Future front end had the removable fiberglass top on the back with the roll bar and all that. Mm-hmm. And I went to a big box automotive parts chain that shall remain nameless, and I needed new spark plugs. I mean, the thing had like 200,000 miles on it. I mean, it was okay. And the guy like talked me into the top of the line, like they were 1.5 times more than, you know.
Please tell me it was not the split fire spark plugs.
No, it wasn't split fires. I don't think it was.
Do you remember
split
those?
Fires. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember those? Do
you
remember what the big problem was with those?
I don't. No.
You could never gap them appropriately.
Oh, right.
I remember.
Yeah, because
I was the general manager of an auto parts store that they took that line on, and they were selling them, and they were warrantying them. I had so many packs of those things thrown back in my face because they didn't work. And I pulled them off the shelf in my own store. My regional manager came in and threatened to write me up for it. And I proved to him why it was a problem, and it wasn't long after that they pulled them out of their entire company.
I hate to say I told you so.
Electrodes, right? You got electrodes, and you got right. So you try to gap something evenly that moves like this.
Yeah,
you could never gap it appropriately.
So, they weren't split fires, and I do remember those. And they got anyway. So
they were junk.
At some point, I think I had an O2 sensor go out. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so when that happens, right, it affects your mixture. It affects, you know,
a lot of
I don't
everything,
even know for sure if this was my 86 4Runner. I just remember I had that vehicle at the time, and that's why I'm thinking it was this vehicle. Anyway, the plugs were thrashed and trashed. Like I, you know, pulled them back out 6 months or a year later or whatever, and they were shot. And
right.
I took my receipt and I marched right back into the auto parts counter and I went, here are my, you know, jacked up plugs that are all black, and here's my receipt for the lifetime warranty. I want a new set. And the guy was like, no. And I went, okay, what? It's lifetime warranty. And he went, I can tell by looking at these plugs that you have an engine problem, and this is not covered under that warranty. And I went, all right, well, you didn't tell me that when you upsold me, but I'm not shopping here anymore, but okay. And he had a fair point. I mean,
sure he did.
It wasn't the fault of the plugs, you know. But
right.
you better tell me when I buy them that you're looking for an out to not honor this thing.
Right, and that is my very point when it comes to lifetime warranties. And we, like you said, we went down in this rabbit hole, but with Chrysler and their limited lifetime warranty or their lifetime powertrain warranty,
yeah.
But I tell you, that only lasted for a short amount of time.
Right,
they didn't do it forever.
It got expensive.
It got really expensive for them, and because they weren't building the greatest vehicles
right.
at that time either. So. And some of that's questionable still to this day, but we'll save that for another podcast. Yeah. So, look, warranty with Rivian, their own insurance, they came to play, pal. They came to play, and they're not messing around. I'm hoping that, because we've been talking about this since we started podcasting about Rivian specifically. And now it's coming to fruition. Models will be available, I think they're saying later this summer, early fall. And for those of you who are Lordstown fans, I think that Rivian's going to be the first EV truck out there. So we'll see.
You're just stirring the pot there, aren't you?
Nah, never. Wouldn't do that. I'm like 99% sure that Rivian's going to be the first. It won't be Lordstown. I'm still waiting on that one, so we'll see what happens. That'd be cool if they did, though. I prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
There you go.
I don't see it happen. So anyway, there you go. So what else we got, my friend?
All right, so I think
we're getting down to the wire here, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we got some trucks here. This is interesting to me. I think this is the last of what we have, but.
It is.
This is a hot topic in your repertoire, Jay. Why don't you bring us into kind of the concept here of these smaller trucks and where you think this is going?
Yeah, so I had a conversation with a young man a couple days ago. We were out on the beach, and he pulled up in a Honda Ridgeline, and I asked him how he liked it. It looked brand new, and it was the HPD version. It's really nice. He says, I love it. It's fantastic. You know, we have a baby on the way, and I checked out some mid-size pickups like the Tacoma, the Chevy Colorado, the GMC Canyon, on and on. With the quad cabs, and nothing seemed practical. He couldn't seem to get car seats in the right way, and it just didn't have that feel that he was looking for. He wanted something sporty, but he also wanted to have more of like the comforts of a sedan sort of thing. So he bought the Ridgeline. But he goes, they're too big. It's still too big to me. And I said to him at that time, I said, well, did you hear what just was released? And he says, no, what? I said, well, and here we go. Some of you may be aware of this or not aware of this, but Hyundai, or Hyundai, depending on how you want to pronounce that, has decided to get into the compact pickup market, which has gone away for probably 20 plus years, 25 years, wouldn't you say, Keith? I think the last compact pickup truck that was on the market was that like 95, 96-ish, like Ford Ranger, maybe like the Mazda B4000, B3000.
Yeah, so, I mean, some of this is semantics. So we kind of created new names or new class names, And oh, by the way, that's a result of a couple of these manufacturers just making their small trucks bigger.
Right.
And then,
that's it.
And then we went, but we still have some companies that are still making the trucks that are the original size, like the small ones. So
Right.
what do we do? Well, let's call one of these a compact and the other one a midsize.
Right.
Right.
And that's exactly what they've done. And Hyundai did a great job with this, by the way. I think it's they come right out and tell you that it's it is a compact truck, and it's geared towards more of they want to say off-roading, because I saw the reveal on this, and that's questionable because it doesn't have it doesn't look to me like it has the ability to get on a true off-road type environment. The entry angle is all that, everything it's just too low, man. It's just not right. I don't think it can do what they think it can do. However, what they are targeting, what they have targeted here, are those people who don't want or can't have these huge trucks.
Well, yeah, so there's two factors. Price being one.
Yes.
Although I don't know that's the leading factor. And the other one is, people have been playing around with this for a while. What if I live in the city or in an urban area, but I want to go camping and I do need some sort of a truck feature?
Right.
Well, but I'm not going to want to daily drive that thing and parallel park it or park it in a parking garage, right?
Right.
Well, so this is that crowd. That's your demo.
This is the answer.
Yep.
This is the answer. I think, and you're absolutely right. I think Hyundai is going to be successful in that market where people live in inner city, where they need to have the best of both worlds.
What's really interesting about this is we're talking about Hyundai right now, and we just said this with the electric trucks. Who's going to get there first? Okay, so Hyundai has come out and said we're doing it. But then we talked 6 months, 8 months ago about the Ford Maverick, right?
That's
right. So
right.
you got Ford potentially getting back into this game. We've got several manufacturers that are making smaller versions on a truck platform, on a small truck platform, I guess.
Right.
Is it on a car platform? It's on a truck platform, right?
This is a unibody.
Okay.
Yes.
So, well, there you go. If it's unibody, then it's even right. So they're not alone. They're not sitting here by themselves taking a huge risk. They're, again, peer pressure in the auto industry. They're all looking at each other, and somebody's going, we think this urban truck model is gonna have some popularity because, well, and look, Jeep, right? Like, how many different versions of the Jeep are out there right now? You have options in the Jeep line to get a truck bed.
That's right.
Right? And
yeah,
that's,
Gladiator or whatever it is.
It's not a full-size pickup. That's a smaller frame.
Right.
So
and you had the Scrambler years ago.
Yep.
Jeep has kind of stayed true to that, to have some shape or form of that all along.
It makes sense to me if I'm an automotive executive in the industry and I'm watching this or listening to this program, by the way, thank you. And I'm like, these parts counter guru guys, they're always talking about overlanding. They're always talking about how they go to these car shows and all they see is people with their off-road setups. And they're always talking about how everybody's buying RVs and everybody's getting off the grid and all that. Folks, maybe we need to put our hat in the ring for something that could be competitive in that market because, the Bronco's selling now and we got, right? So it's like, well, yeah, I mean, there's a demand for it.
Right. There is a huge demand for it. There's going to be a bigger demand for it. I'm quite certain of that.
And because better fuel economy, right? Than a full size.
Way better fuel economy. First of all, these things are equipped with a 2.5 liter. One's going to have one will have a turbo. One version will have a turbo. They'll come in all-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. This thing, it has. I was surprised. It's going to have. I mean, it's not huge, but for what it is, it is. It has. It's capable of towing up to 5,000 pounds. And it also is going to. It doesn't have the a trailer brake controller, but I don't know that you could effectively pull. I wouldn't.
There isn't anything at 5,000 pounds that you should need a brake controller for. That's not heavy enough that vehicle should be able to stop that with its own brakes.
You would hope so. Now,
if they build it right, yeah.
If they build it right, what I can tell you is basically it looks like the new Tucson with a bed. It does. It looks like the Tucson. And, I'm a fan of the Tucson. I like the Tucsons. I always have. I drive one.
Do you see the potential here for GM to go El Camino? Do you see the potential for Subaru to do something competitive?
Subaru is really already a competitor. They just need to bring it back. And you and I talked about this the other day about the Brat. And there is some speculation that maybe late 2022, 2023, that the Subaru Brat may make an appearance. And based on the trends, to me, it makes absolutely good sense. Now, will it have the suicide seats in the back like the old one? I don't think that by law you could get away with that anymore. You remember those, right? With the
in the bed. You're talking about the ones that were down.
The seats had in the bed with handles to hold on to, man.
Yeah, you know how I learned about that, Jay? No. As a kid with Hot Wheels, I had a Brat.
Oh yeah.
And they built into the Hot Wheels car the detail of those seats in the bed. And I remember looking at that going, wow, that's cool, right? But yeah, now it's like, wow, that's super unsafe. Right. So check this out. Here's what, for sure, man. I remember riding in the back of those. I had a friend of mine that owned one, and they were a lot of fun, but gosh, how dangerous it was. I often thought about, man, I hope he doesn't lose control of this vehicle because you're ejected immediately. Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why they can't build those things like that anymore. But, Hyundai goes on to say that they're in a class of its own right now, but that's going to change. And we talked about it with the Ford Maverick, like we said. That's coming. There is room for this segment out there. I think they will do well. With this type of vehicle, you get the comforts of a sedan or a crossover, but you also have the bed. This thing's got it's got a lockable, like a hard tonneau cover that comes with it. It's got a in-bed trunk. It has a lot of different things. It has a remote tailgate. Not that that's important to me because you know how I feel about all the gadgets on vehicles like that. I don't get it. I don't understand all that stuff. But it can hold up to 500 pounds back there. And they do say that the tonneau cover, however, will be optional. Crazy, man. It's interesting to see Hyundai get into this. And I will bet that in a year from now, we're going to be talking, there will be 5 to 6 other models of something similar like this out there in the works, if not already for sale. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And we hinted to it.
Toyota has hinted, everybody.
Toyota has hinted to some other things that are happening, and I believe that you're going to see a more compact pickup truck come from them. Like you said, Chevrolet, what was it, the Chevy Love?
Yeah.
Compact pickup truck. But then you had like you said, the El Camino, and then we had the Ford Ranchero. So this is not something new to our industry. It's just something that has gone away for a while. But now you've got all these other players involved. A lot of the Asian market vehicles that are coming into play. Volkswagen had one. Volkswagen, I think, has one already. They're out there. You just have to do your research on it. But I mentioned this many moons ago on one of our early podcasts that I felt like the compact pickup truck was going to make a comeback, and that was before we even knew about the Maverick.
Right.
And that's almost a I hate to say I told you so moment, because it's
I hate to say I told you so.
It's just one of those things, man, where you get a gut feeling on trends, and my biggest complaint is I can't park a big truck anywhere. I need a truck, but I can't park it because it doesn't fit. And now when you start increasing the size of your small pickup trucks to a midsize, I looked at the Toyota Tacoma, the new one. And honestly, when I looked at it, I'm like, that thing's darn near close to the Tundra in size. And you see the Nissan Frontier doing the same thing. You see, like I said, the Chevrolet Colorado and the GMC Canyon. They used to be a tiny pickup truck, like the size of an original Ford Ranger or something. But now they are in a class of its own. They're a mid-sized pickup truck. They're big. I was next to one, and I'm like, wow, when did this thing get on steroids? Because that's basically what they look like. They grew up, So, and then of course the bigger trucks are even bigger. You can't even get those things down a driveway these days, man. They're
or
so
in your
huge.
garage, right?
And you'll never get them in the garage. You don't have the clearance because they don't. Now they're not building houses to accommodate those things. They're building garages to the specs that they've always built garages, which are typically a 30 by 30, right, for two cars. So, but you can't fit and the height of the door getting in, you would have to almost have an RV type bay or garage setting to get one of these big trucks in. Heck, the mirrors stick out, 5 feet on some of these, 5 feet from the pillar,
right?
On some of these big towing capable trucks. So yeah, crazy, man. It's I'm loving it. I'm having fun with this one. I would like to maybe test drive one if I get the opportunity. My wife already, when I told her about it, she goes, "Oh, let's get one," because she loves her Tucson. Mm-hmm. She wants a truck though. So,
well, there you go. See, they know what they're doing, man.
What else you got to add to this, man?
I think that's it. I think that's the show for the day.
Are we done?
I think we're done for the day. Oh, I know. Parting is such sweet sorrow. So,
yeah.
Hey, yeah.
I'd like to get out and do some donuts in one of those little small pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Speaking of donuts,
get you your There, so
get you a doing donuts.
We'll put the link to that on the mentioned on the podcast page. Everybody, go to partscounterguru.com and click on the mentioned on the podcast tab, and you will find a link to this episode, which I think is going to be 93, if I'm not mistaken.
Oof.
And well, you can buy one of those shirts like Jay's wearing there, and it says Doing Donuts for those of you listening on the podcast, but it's in the colors of Duncan. So
it's cool.
Anyway, yeah. What else, Jay? Closing.
Yeah. Just hey, thank you guys for watching. If you're watching, thank you guys for listening. If you're listening, if you're not listening, and you're watching. Or if you're watching and you're not listening,
getting dicey here.
Just get on everything and then run whatever. But look, just support us by subscribing to our podcast and our YouTube channel, and then do some shopping through our website at partscounterguru.com. Follow us on youtube.com/partscountergurus for any of those videos. Click that bell and also give us a thumbs up. I don't really have anything else. I don't think, man. I think I'm done. I think I need a donut.
It's been a good show. I just want to say thanks to everybody for helping us get this far. It has been a fantastic, just awesome experience for both Jay and I. And man, how far we've come. Make sure that you are subscribed, to not only hear and watch, but be a part of that 100th episode. We're going to do some cool stuff. And yeah, the best way to do that is go to the website, click on the podcast links, find your podcast platform of choice. Until next time, everybody, that's my pal Jay over there.
Yep. I'm
Keith. I will leave you with this. Make the world that you want to live in. See you next time.
Good.